Lesson 6.6 for pre-algebra. If you want to title your paper, you're going to write proportions and percents. So, in this section, they are teaching you how to look at a proportion in this symbol. It kind of looks like a thermometer with half of it filled in with red. Now, your first step when you see this type of problem, this is called a part-to-whole ratio. So if you see this, they want you to write it as a proportion, and then you can solve it pretty simply from the proportion. So I always start with the percents since they are both on this left side. So you're always going to have 100%. In every single percentage, it's always out of 100. So the 100 always goes on the bottom. If you're given this percent, that goes above the 100. So if you're given a percent, it always goes above 100. And then whenever you look across the bar, whatever goes across from it on the picture graph, it's going to go across from it on the proportion. So then I would write 30 over 40. So I take these numbers and I put them into a proportion. If I cross multiply, they would both equal 300. And you know that they were a proportion. Okay, so here's what you're going to see. You're going to see three different types of problems. So you're going to see where you have a percentage of 80 is what number, what percent of 60 is 52, and then 310 is 99% of what number. So there's three different types. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do the first one. So this is the first one. Find 65% of 245. So if I'm going to write a proportion, I always look first, is there another percentage? And there is. So I look at that and I say, okay, then I want 65 over 100. Remember, the 100 is always going to be there. It's going to be there in every single problem. So they give me 65%, so I put that over 100. And then of 245, well, 245 is my whole, as you can see right here. So that has to go on the bottom across from the 100. See how it's across from 100 here? It has to be across from 100 here. And then X or N would go above the 245. So now you're going to solve for this. So how I solve for this is I'm going to cross multiply. So 100 times X is 100. I'm just doing this right here, is 100X. And then 245 times 65. Let me grab my calculator. So 245 times 65 is 15,925. Then I draw my line. I divide both sides by 100. And X equals 159.25. So it's kind of like when you use this is if you're at the store. Let's say you want to buy an Xbox and it's 65% off and it costs $245. Well, you'd only have to pay the $159. Well, it wouldn't be 65% off, it'd be 35% off because you're paying 65% of the price. Sorry. So you would pay $159.25. So it's kind of nice to know because especially when you have big ticket items like that, you want to know how much money you're going to have to save up for. Okay, so that was the first problem. This is the second type of problem, finding a percent. So in this one, they don't give us a percent. So it says, what percent of 60 is 52? So they don't give us a percent, so I'm going to write an X over 100. Remember, the 100 is always there. So that goes X over 100, and then 60 is 52. So 60 is my whole, and 52 is out of 60. So I always put the bigger number on the bottom, and then I want to know what percent of 52 is. And you can see right here, just look, 100 goes with 60 and n goes with 52. X goes with 52. So I cross multiply. 5200 equals 60x, and then I divide by 60. So 5200 divided by 60 is 86.6 repeating, which equals, and they want me to round to the nearest tenth, so then it would be 86.7%. So then 86.7%. So 52 is approximately 86.7% of 60. So that's the second way. Now this is the third way, finding the whole amount. So I look at my problem. 207 is 46% of what number? So they give me a percent. So I'm going to automatically fill that in. Fill that in first. 46 out of 100. Remember, the 100 is always there. And then I can look at my graph here, and I see that 46 is directly across from 207. So 207 goes on top, and then I don't know the whole amount. So then I'm going to cross multiply 100 times 207 equals 46x, and then I divide by 46, which equals 450. So 207 is 46% of 450. All right, so try these three problems on your own, and then we will compare answers. Okay, so what percent of 250 is 138? So what you're going to do is, I don't know the percent, so I'm going to have x over 100 of 250, so that goes on the bottom, is 138. Another key thing when you're looking at this, if you see the word of, directly after it is the total. Is the total that goes on the bottom here. So if you get confused on if they don't give you a picture, if you get confused, look for the word of, and then after that is the total. So then I'm going to do 113,800 equals 250x, and then I divide by 250. So x equals 55.2. Now, it wants a percent, so I need to write it as a percent, 55.2%. 14 is what percent of 15? So I don't have a percent, so that is x over 100. And then it asks 14 is what percent of 15? So I know 15 goes on the bottom and 14 goes on the top. So then I do 14 times 100 and get 1400 equals 15x, and divide by 15. So x equals 93.3%. And then lastly, 207 is 46% of what number? So I have a percent, so 46% out of 100, that goes there. And then of, it says what number? So that's my x, and then 207 goes on the top. So I do 207, or 20,700 equals 46x. And then I divide by 46. So x equals 450. All right, that is it for your notes.